texture of life. In Ayurveda, they recommend that you sit down and sip your water. In this case, it's tea. Not gulping, but sipping through it. Texture of life. Living a life of awareness. Constant integrated awareness. Then doing anything, doing everything is worth doing it. It's worthwhile. मतलब जिंदगी का मजा, जिंदगी में मजा, जिंदगी से मजा, मजा जिंदगी का. We have 5 sheaths, 5 koshas. Annamaya kosha, our body, which is made up of food, anna. Manomaya kosha, our mind, which is not the brain. Brain is an organ. Mind is everywhere. The last one is the Anandamaya kosha. Anandamaya kosha? Bliss sheath? Do I get bliss or am I bliss? Interesting, isn't it? I'm not just my body, I'm not just my mind, I'm not just the life force within me, I'm not just this intelligence. I am bliss? One would think that life is given to me to derive bliss. The purpose of life is to be happy. It seems like the happiness is what I derive from a cup of tea, or from eating food, or from having pleasurable experiences, or from doing what I love. The reason that life is given to me is so that I can gain bliss, even if it is through meditation. Interesting to think that bliss is part of me. The 5th sheath, Anandamaya Kosha. Moving on to the texture of life. Me and kids are big foodies. Foodies in the sense we are reviewers of food. We discuss food. Whichever town we are in, we will say, okay, what's the best pizza here? Let's try out the best pizza in this town. The crust, the cheese, the sauce, and then everything coming together. We need thin, light, crunchy crust. Our cheese cannot be too much, cannot be too little, just right. Good quality cheese. And then the sauce. Not too tart, not too sweet. It has to have a natural sweetness to it. Some of the Italian tomatoes have that. And it has to have tartness. And in the end, all of these flavors come together, making an umami pizza texture. Each bite has that crunch and that gooiness and that chatpataness. Pizza's got to have a bite to it. Some of that bite will come from the cheese, some of that bite will come from the sauce, and yes, even the crust, the bread, can have a bite to it. It doesn't always have to come from a spice. And of course, served hot. What does it have to do with life? Everything. Pizza has everything to do with life. It's how you live it. Enjoying life sip by sip, not gulping it down. Apparently, if that's how you drink your water, sitting down, sip by sip, you don't gain weight. And apparently, you hydrate your body better. The water is more bioavailable to your body. I would love to see science look into it. The most common activity of man, and has been for thousands of years, is drinking water. And why can't we do enough research on it in terms of what type of water we drink, how we drink, and how the water becomes assimilated and bioavailable to every single cell of our body? Water is life. We know that. When we look for life on another planet, for example, Mars, we look for water. If there's no water or no signs of water, you go elsewhere. You know, water has taste. Wasa, mountain spring water. Water, the ultimate drink of life. Perhaps the best way to get closer to the texture of life would be through water and become aware of the texture of water. What was in Picasso? It was the texture of life. He was painting the texture of life. He was allowing his heart to be expressed through art. Whatever you do, imagine just digging into it, biting into it. Literally, even if it is an apple, literally biting into it. Allowing the juices to flow through. And all at once, appreciating the texture, the freshness, the sweetness, the juiciness, and the tartness of that apple. Imagine if every bite I take in my life, it is full of life, full of passion, full of present moment awareness. Being fully present to whatever activity you do, that is what will give you the texture of life. Being fully present to whatever you're doing, not thinking about something else. I am now expressing the texture of life. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do an hour from now, or when this video will be done, what will I be doing? I am enjoying the texture of the expression of this video. I'm enjoying it. It's in me. I'm tasting it in my mouth. I'm feeling it. I am one with it. I'm enjoying it. The message is just so clear and fresh. I can bite it in my mouth. I can feel it in my being. It's resonating in every part of me. I'm living it, and I am loving it. So what is the texture of life? Love is the texture of life. Another segue into oils. Nowadays, people are using refined oils. Refined oils means it has gone through perhaps half a dozen different processes where it gets rid of the texture of oil. They get rid of the smell of the oil, they get rid of the color of the oil, and they get rid of the stickiness of the oil. And whatever is left of the oil, they get rid of that too. Whatever is left is some fatty acids. It's no longer what it was. You don't know where it came from. Yeah, you can say it's cottonseed oil, canola oil, and this oil. No one refines no one should refine the olive oil, for example, or desi ghee. But people do that too. People even refine the most refined product perhaps on the earth, which is honey. Honey is the most complete, most refined product that nature has ever made. But we humans even refine that, getting rid of the texture. Why would you boil, or what do you call this? Why would you pasteurize honey? Honey is one thing that can stay good for thousands of years. It doesn't get spoiled. Honey has natural antiviral, antibacterial properties. Why would you want to mess up with that? And according to Ayurveda, when you heat up honey, when you pasteurize honey, it becomes poison. So as you're removing the texture, it becomes poisonous and useless. Are we removing the texture from our life? Are we? And then what is left is poison. मजा ही खत्म हो जाता है जिंदगी का. The texture of life is the maza. And through the texture of life, you get the bliss. Without the texture of life, it is lifeless. Texture of life, you can also say, are the human values. What is the texture of our life? Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa. Yeah, that's the texture of life. When I take that out of my life, then it becomes more and more lifeless. You take love out of the equation, you took away the texture of life. Money is not the texture of life. Is it possible to regain the texture of life? Is it possible to re-irrigate the barren soil of my life? Literally and figuratively. Literally in the sense we have to re-irrigate the soil of the planet Earth. And yes, it can be done. Yes, we have raised and raped the planet Earth with chemicals. Yes, it can be replenished by resorting to organic farming, rotation of crops, very simple things. Non-genetically modified seeds, yes, it can be restored. Even wildlife can be restored. Whatever is lost is lost. Whatever species have been lost are lost. There's much to be protected, much to be enjoyed. So the simple, easy formula is listening to the voice of your heart and following it will give back the texture of life, the maza of life. Sip, sip at a time. Nourishing, replenishing, delicious water of life, the texture of life.